Hello, hello. It's good to be back. Good evening, everybody. My name is Kartik. I'm one of the co-founders of ETHGlobal. And I'm super excited to welcome all of you to our first ever in-person event in 2 years. Welcome to ETHAmsterdam. We're at this incredible venue this weekend. BVB is a historic building. This used to be the country's first modern stock exchange over a century ago. I think it just serves as like a perfect place for us to really shape the future of money. So I'm excited for all of you to be in this building, and to the thousands of you that couldn't be here in person. We're also streaming all of this and the whole weekend on ETHGlobal.tv, so we'll be able to watch any other workshop and talk on the website and on YouTube. So, ETHAmsterdam is part of Devconnect. A lot of you have been here this entire week, or you've enjoyed a lot of the other things going on aside from this hackathon. And before we kick everything off, I want to take a quick second and really thank Skylar, Natalia, Adam, and the rest of the Devconnect team at the Ethereum Foundation for really putting this week together. It's been an incredible, just amazing thing that's been put on with so much attention to detail and all the hard work. Please give them a big round of applause. And I want to thank, as ETHGlobal, to the whole Devconnect team for making this weekend happen for us as well. So let's go right into it. First things first, this is not a conference, and we'll get into a lot of that in the next few minutes. We're ETHGlobal, and we have a very simple mission. Our goal is to onboard thousands of developers into the Web3 ecosystem. And we do this by focusing on builders. The events we do are very much about building interesting things, bringing on developers, designers, creators, anybody who wants to build things. The goal and emphasis is very much about focusing on learning, being able to get the help, and just growing to everything from your full potential to learning about the things you're excited about. So the theme here for this entire weekend is going to be few distractions and more time building stuff, and we believe showing is better than telling. And the whole weekend is set up with that philosophy in mind, and I'm excited to tell you all about this in the next few minutes. We kind of have done this same thing for multiple in-person events for the last 4 years across 5 different continents, and it's just so exciting that we're able to do this again this year onwards, and we have 5 more to go, and this is just the very first one in 2022. And not only just that, we also managed to figure out so many amazing ways to bring the same philosophy and culture onto the online events. The last 2 years were also equally exciting for us on the online side, where we had so many events where we were able to bring on people from all over the world and really remove any constraint around physically being in any given city. And over the past 4 years, ETHGlobal has brought more than 50,000 developers and people in this ecosystem. We've seen over 4,000 projects come out of it. And although we don't really care about this metric, but the companies that have come out of the projects from the hackathons have collectively raised over $500 million. And it is a massive thing that we never thought would be a thing that we would see, but it still brings me a lot of joy to bring that forward. All right, so all that history, let's get that over with. Let's go into ETHAmsterdam. This is an incredible venue, and so many people are here today. We have 1,100 attendees in this building for this entire weekend. They're coming in from 56 different countries, and 31% of the people participating are new to the Web3 ecosystem. They're coming on from Web2. That is a massive number. It does deserve a big round of applause. These are specifically people quitting their jobs in Web2 to be able to go all in on Web3, and I can't wait to see what everybody builds. In addition to that, we have over 100 mentors from our partners and dedicated people who are there to help you unblock, whether it's technical or go-to-market or anything else that you would like to know. And we have 40 technical workshops. There'll be hands-on stuff around how to use different protocols or everything that's happening in the world of any given topic you can think of, from NFTs to scalability to DeFi to you name it. And only 7 talks. We're going to keep it specific around things that we think are important for us to know about the development of Ethereum and everything that is an active research problem. So we'll minimize a lot of talking, and we'll make sure that you all get to chat with each other in person and see what everybody else is working on. And of course, prizes. There are $400,000 in prizes to be won. We'll kind of get everybody on to tell you about what the prizes are and how you can win them, and also how you can think about choosing what to work on. So before we go into all of this, I want to thank the 50 incredible partners that made this event happen. Gearbox, Optimism, DYDX, 1inch Network, Ave Grand Style, LivePeer, IPFS Filecoin, and Polygon, Wallet Connect and Scale. Without their support, this would not be possible, so please give them a big round of applause. We'll just keep the applause going. I'm going to name all 40 more logos in order as fast as I can, and let's keep the energy going. So Tatum, Mina, Toucan, Superfluid, Skill Wallet, Lens Protocol, Radical, TribeDAO, Web3 Auth, Bolt, Tempest, Uniswap Grants Program, Coinbase Wallet, The Graph, Gnosis, Apewine, Connext, UMA, Sirion, Gelato, EPNS, QuickNote, EK-Sync, Boba Network, BlockDemon, Ambir, Findora, Avmos, Dune Analytics, Spruce, Union, Yearn Finance, Flux, Fuel, Anchor, CoinSpec, Swing, StackOS, CyberConnect, and ZKPad. Thank you so much. We're going to bring some of them on again too, but you can talk to all these amazing companies building so many incredible protocols and just make your lives easier with the SDKs and not reinvent the wheel as you have only 36 hours to hack. All right, so let's get started. A couple of things we're going to do here. We're going to just quickly talk about the agenda. We're going to have a quick interview here, and after that, we're going to bring on some more partners. And then for those of you who are still looking for a team, right after we're done here, we're going to meet in this corner. And anybody who's still looking for a team, we're going to just do a quick team formation session in person, so you can join us. If you have any ideas or you're still looking for teammates, you can do that right after this ends. But before that, we want to have a quick interview with a person who needs no introduction. So without further ado, let's welcome Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Bitcoin Magazine, on stage. Hello.
Hello.
All right, so we were thinking about the stuff we wanted to cover today, and it's all over the place when I talk about the future, the past, personal stuff, but let's get right into it. At this point, what could stop the merge from happening?
Oh, did you hear the announcement? We delayed it until 2027. It's
2027?
No. I think realistically, what could slow down the merge? Definitely unexpected security bugs. I mean, if you wake up in some crazy high month of this year and you discover that the merge hasn't happened yet, some security bugs in the clients is probably going to be the reason. Things that cannot stop the merge, any kind of weird minor malfeasance, like if miners try to do some last minute thing to break the merge, that'll just mean there's going to be some kind of manual fork and it'll happen faster.
What are the possible scenarios of that? And also, could you talk about the difficulty bomb?
I mean, what could miners do in principle? Miners could 51% attack around the same time as the merge, but with the way the merge is designed, it's basically designed so that the beacon chain fork choice just picks one of the forks, and so we're fine. Miners could, if they were really coordinated, kind of stage a protest and just all quit. And if they do that, then we set a particular terminal total difficulty, and so it could just make it take a really long time until we get there. But if they do something like that and it's really serious, then once again, people will just make an update that either changes the TTD or just sets a particular hash, right? So there's always a recovery there. I mean, what else can they do? They can make FUD about centralization on Twitter. I don't know. I think at this point, I mean, practically speaking, I do feel like miners have generally realized that Ethereum is going to proof of stake, and a lot of them are not just miners; they're also stakers, plenty of them are very happy to be participating in both parts of Ethereum's transition. So I'm actually not too worried. And lots of them, I'm sure, they're going to want to start mining on Ethereum Classic or Zcash or any of these other systems. And so they as an industry do have a kind of common interest, even going beyond Ethereum there. So yeah, I guess not too worried about that. And I don't know what else. I feel aside from the possibility of software bugs, which is exactly what we're in the process of testing to find out. It's pretty much full speed ahead.
So I think this obviously kind of touches upon just the complexity that lies in the base layer, and you kind of talked and blogged a lot about just how the layer one should be as simple as possible. What's kind of the philosophy behind that? How does that kind of now reflect on the design for the merge? And let's go deeper into that.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Ethereum, we've been kind of moving toward this like hybrid philosophy where layer 1 tries to be kind of very simple, or at least as simple as it realistically can be, while layer 2 kind of takes on the complexity burden of providing like very high levels of scaling, providing privacy, providing a lot of the things that users want, right? The changes that are all kind of going in the direction of, layer 1 does improve somewhat, like it switches to proof of stake. We add dank sharding, which adds a lot of data that the chain gets consensus on that rollups can use and all of these things. But the goal is still to try to like add a limited number of tools that's very general purpose. Then the layer 2 and the application layer kind of does the rest. And
what's the design process of that? Like, do you actively refuse to think about adding changes to the base layer, or is that more of like you only get to realize this in retrospect? How do you kind of think about that as you're planning this?
Yeah, it's not just like it's not my decision, right? Like so, like
sorry, not you specifically, just right, as the
team.
And
I know like on one of the recent all-core devs calls, was like just decided to kind of not really push hard on kind of non-merge related EIPs for a while, like. In general, I think there's definitely been kind of more and more pushback on adding EIPs, like even things like precompiles that would have easily gotten in 2 or 3 years ago, like they just have a harder time justifying themselves now, which I think is healthy. Like I think it's good to kind of not keep on increasing complexity forever and kind of throwing the kitchen sink in and like really step back and think like, what do we really need? So, there's definitely an attitude of like growing conservatism toward changing things. If I had to kind of change that formula a little bit, like I would say, like what I would want to see is not just conservatism in terms of like the size of the changes, but also like conservatism in terms of the final result. Like not just thinking about like changing a little, but also like, can we make changes toward an Ethereum of tomorrow that's simpler than the Ethereum of today? So like banning self-destruct is probably one of those examples, right? I think like I do not want a world where your grandchildren wake up at some dark rainy morning in 2072, take a look at the killer AI robots outside briefly, and then ask you, but Grandpa, like why does Ethereum like just have all of this extra 2-layer weird state tree structure, and why does it have half RLP and half SSZ, and like why is me creating my own node so hard? And like you have to answer, well, because we some people in 2022 kind of just basically gave up and prioritized backwards compatibility, right? Like, I think, there is something to like the virtue of kind of accepting some short-term costs in order to achieve long-term benefits. And like, obviously it's important to prioritize, and obviously you can't do everything at the same time. But like, having this kind of discussion around, what are things that, do incur short-term costs, but are going to like actually make things better, like, Ethereum a better system and a simpler system with in the long term is like a discussion that I would definitely love to see more of.
So maybe this is a good time to understand how that got applied to sharding and the design and the architecture. Could you tell us about the original design, what it is now, how that happened?
Well, I think in that case, and it's a bit of a different situation, right? Because like sharding is something new, and so like the question of like minimizing complexity of the change and minimizing complexity of the final outcome, like they just end up being perfectly aligned with each other, and the design really did evolve a lot in the direction of simplifying the base layer, right? At the beginning, it's like. There was this really complicated, like quadratic and then like eventually cubic sharding design, and you had committees on top of committees, and you had chains on top of chains, it got really crazy. And then eventually that simplified down to a beacon chain with a bunch of shards that were chains that had cross links. Eventually that simplified further. We got rid of the cross links, we got rid of the shards with an independent fork choice, and now we don't even have shard blocks, right? Like the dank sharding design is actually very ultra minimal, because it basically even has one proposer that just chooses all the contents for the entire block, like the entire 16 or 32 megabytes or whatever it ends up being, right? That is I mean, it definitely is still complex, right? But at the same time, it's like vastly better than what we would have had to deal with had we actually tried to properly implement any of the designs from 2017, while at the same time, also having these 5 other roadmaps of account abstraction and proof of stake and Virtual trees and all of those things, right? So I think I do think that the Ethereum kind of research community learned and has updated a lot in the direction of proposing things that are actually implementable.
So I think the interesting thing I've noticed is that this is a very recurring theme, and it's a great thing, which is we kind of have initial ideas, they get kind of iterated on, then they just become simpler or even better or just more efficient. Is that something that you think is because we're able to minimize the feedback loops, or is that because we just have a lot more research that's kind of being applied faster than in other industries? How does this why is this repetitive in a good way as a theme from your perspective?
Why is what repetitive?
Oh, so not repetitive, sorry. Why do we see this happen often, that
the designs get simplified?
Especially in how we think about scalability.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big part of it is first of all, just the quality of the research team improving. I think, the more kind of research thinks hard, the more it actually can build things that don't require developers to work as hard. Ultimately, development is a bigger slog than research is, right? So I think it's it's good when you can make those trade-offs and just think a little harder and make something better. The other thing is also just the proposals keep improving because you have the benefit of understanding versions 1 to version n of the thing when you build version n+1 of the thing. I think it's a combination of both of those two.
It's just impressive that we see that consistently happen on the research side.
I think and then 3 obviously is just that this ongoing process of actually just learning to value real simplicity more.
Amazing. Well, speaking of simplification, I want to talk about 2 EIPs, and I think it'll be good to kind of have you talk about what they are first, and then let's kind of go into should or should they not be included. Let's start with 4844. What is it, and should that exist?
Sure. So EIP 4844, aka proto-dank sharding. I guess okay. To explain that, maybe we need to start going into dank sharding in a bit more detail, right? So dank sharding is the sharding design that is kind of the result of this long chain of simplifying things and throwing things out after we started from crazy chains inside of chains back in 2015. The way dank sharding works is you still have one block per slot. It looks basically just a regular non-sharded chain, except validator nodes don't actually have to validate everything, right? Instead, validator nodes randomly select a few pieces of every block to verify, and because of erasure coding, data availability sampling, a bunch of math magic, they're that's actually enough, right? It's actually enough for every validator to only verify a few randomly selected pieces of these big 16 megabyte blobs, or I guess blob lists. Now, the problem with dank sharding, though, is that it does require erasure coding and all of this stuff to actually be implemented. And so what happens before then, right? So before then, we have proto-dank sharding, which is basically it's a kind of halfway house that can happen before full dank sharding can really be rolled out. And what happens there is it's kind of you do dank sharding without actually sharding the data, right? Basically, you introduce all of the data formats exactly as they will exist in full dank sharding. You introduce this concept of blobs, this transactions with this extra really big piece of data that's much cheaper, but that can't be accessed directly from the EVM. You introduce KZG commitments, you introduce all the math, you introduce all the ways that interaction between the execution and consensus layer will work. You basically do all of the kind of infrastructure work, except you don't do this kind of random sampling check. You still require everyone to just fully download all the blobs and check them, right? So in every slot, everyone would actually have to download and check maybe about a megabyte of data. So This amount of data is still a lot. It still provides a huge amount of space for rollups. It still stands, good chance of making rollups way cheaper than they are today. So,
does this have any long-term effects on the state size?
Right. So on the state size, no, because these blobs are not part of the state. But on the history side, EIP 4444 is another important one. This is the history expiry EIP, basically making it so that clients don't have to store really old history anymore. And this is important both to keep the disk size of an Ethereum node small, and also actually to allow Ethereum implementations to become simpler, right? Because you don't need one implementation to be able to process all past versions of the Ethereum protocol that ever existed. You needed to be able to just process maybe the last 1 or 2 hard forks, and then if you really want to have a node that checks the entire history, you can basically just download multiple versions of the client, and then we'll have to
serially verify.
Yeah, serially verify. We'll have to implement some interchange format, so you can run one of them, then export the post state, import that as a pre-state into the second one, run a few more blocks, export the post state, and put it into the third, and all that. But that's all doable, and that does basically the idea is to try to allow the nodes responsible for a consensus, or allow the nodes for responsible for the really critical thing of keeping the blockchain running today to kind of be as simple as possible. And there are going to be ways of doing all the other stuff. There are already plenty of ideas on how to create automated networks to kind of automatically start backing up all of the history and to make that really robust. So it's basically guaranteed to know with a one of interest model that the history will be actually saved, and also actually be able to check and see what happened in the history. But that would be a kind of somewhat more specialized functionality, and users who care about that will be able to do it, but users who only wants to run a node to verify what's going on today would not have to concern themselves with with that, and they'll be able to just process a narrower piece of the chain. So yeah, that's EIP 4444.
What about 4337?
4337 is the account abstraction. I believe it's going to have a presentation tomorrow, so highly recommend people watch it. But account abstraction, this is another one of those things that I've cared about for a very long time. Basically, it's like making smart contract wallets first-class citizens, right? So there's 2 kinds of accounts in Ethereum. There's what we call EOAs, externally owned accounts, which are the accounts that most people have their coins and assets and everything in. And then there's smart contract wallets. Smart contract wallets use smart contract code to be able to impose arbitrary conditions on when the funds can be spent, right? So you can have a multi-sig wallet where you have say 5 different keys that might even be controlled by different people, and you need 3 of them to approve a transaction. You could have social recovery wallet where a 3 of 5 can change the key that's needed to sign. You could replace ECDSA with a different signature scheme. You could replace it with something quantum resistant, right? You could do a lot of things. But the problem is that smart contract wallets today, smart contract wallets cannot initiate transactions. And so actually using one requires you to have some money in an EOA, and you basically just needlessly complicated. And that's a big part of why not many people use it. But then EOAs, they only support one form of authentication, which is one single private key, right? So I think, so what 4337 does is basically, it's like an extra protocol way, kind of second layer way to make smart contract wallets basically be as convenient as EOA wallets are today. And so, regular users, it will be much easier to actually have one of these more secure, multi-sig or social recovery or whatever kinds of wallets. And so, to try, you would actually be able to, feel safe and comfortable using Ethereum without having to worry about what happens if someone hacks my computer and steals my private key, or what if my private key gets lost.
Is this just in the implementation phase, or what kind of, how do we think about that
I believe it's already on test nets. I believe ERC 4337 is going to be released on the mainnet fairly soon.
That should change how most of the hackathon projects work. That's going to be awesome. You already touched upon the quality of researchers that have kind of come on in the last few years to kind of improve the protocol. But let's kind of zoom out a little bit and go into how do you think the Ethereum Foundation's role has changed in that same window, and just kind of from your perspective, what was the role now, and how do you think the role the foundation serves?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Ethereum Foundation, first of all, like, it has really stepped up on kind of improving its quality, improving its kind of organizational capacity. Like, there's just a lot of things that the Ethereum Foundation was completely not capable of doing just because, like, it did not have people. And there would be lots of people who would just say, like, hey, like, you know, can we do this? And, like, I just unfortunately would not be able to point them to people who can actually do it. And, like, now all of that stuff is just so much better, right? Like, you know, there's, like, excellent people in the foundation, like Stephen Gilbert, who's been you know, doing a lot of, like, Latin America work, some other things. You know, Josh Stark has been, you know, great at just organizing a whole bunch of things in the you know, foundation core. And you know, there's this, you know, Ayame Eguchi, new executive director, has definitely been you know, great, and you know, both you know, her work kind of organizing the foundation and a lot of the philosophy that she's introducing, I think, have been excellent. So just a lot of, like, really good people lately that I'm happy, very happy about. So it's definitely a much more capable organization. It's definitely an organization, you know, more capable of starting to, like, have breathing room to think about the long-term big questions. Because, like, in 2016 and 17, like, we barely had breathing room, right? Like, in 2015, like, we barely had money. And then because of barely having money, we barely had people. And then in 2016 and 17, we barely had enough people to do things. And, like, finally, you know, over the last 4 years, we've really managed to exit that kind of, you know, vicious cycle, which has been, I think, excellent.
We can actually observe it, too, which is the great part. Just the last 2 years have been phenomenal, and just seeing more transparency, the level of effort going into different geographies, this event itself, Devconnect. I absolutely agree.
Yay. Devconnect!
Do you think the Ethereum Foundation should just focus on making the protocol better, or do you think this expands into supporting or collaborating with other protocol?
I mean, I think there's definitely room for the Ethereum Foundation to get more involved at the application layer. And I also think that there's more room for everyone except the foundation to get more involved at the protocol layer, right? Like, I think to some extent this has happened already, right? But like, I think for the first couple of years, like, we have had this kind of, like, interesting sort of, like, half decentralization where, you know, there's these, like, 5 different layer 2 client teams, or, well, there's 5 different
way more.
like 5 different, not layer 2s. Consensus client teams, and there's a lot of layer 2 teams. There's a lot of execution layer teams, but, like, a big part of a lot of their budgets would still come from the foundation, right? And so, like, it sets up the structure, but the foundation is still kind of at the has this kind of very strong, very central role. But, like, we were already starting to see signs of that diversifying. We're already seeing signs of, like, actors outside of the foundation supporting all of these different teams, supporting all of these different individual developers.
And you're referring to just kind of companies in this space that are...
Like, companies is one, like, you know, obviously, you know, there's Consensus, there's the various different DAOs, there's, like, well, I think, like, Lido announced that they're supporting Protocol Guild, you know, the whole Protocol Guild effort in general. I think, you know, the whole, the NFT for EIP 1559. And, like, there's, I think, a lot of potential for this to go much further. Like, I think we still need to remember, like, that we are in a world where, I believe, is it still true that the Uniswap DAO has more capital than the foundation does?
I believe so, too.
Yeah, so...
I guess, what about collaboration with other layer 1s? Do you see a future where we can work with the Bitcoin community?
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
there's a lot of good research.
Yeah, anything can happen. I think, you know, out of, you know, coming out of the COVID pandemic, you know, new century, you know, new challenges. You know, it's possibly time to make new friends. It's yeah. Well, I think you know, especially like both the Bitcoin and the Ethereum ecosystems are just kind of so different from what they were 5 years ago, and they're just like clearly here, do things that are somewhat similar and also somewhat different, and I think like there's a clearer sign that actually coexistence between these two ecosystems is possible, I think the big thing that you need for like people to feel comfortable cooperating is like the feeling that there doesn't exist a kind of neither can live while the other survives relationship between the two, right? Because once like people are at their most evil not out of greed but out of fear, right? Like when people perceive that if they don't like fight for their interests and for their own interests that they're gonna like lose to some existential threat, that's when people are going to be the most willing to sacrifice everything for their interests. If the competitive part of the relationship is not an existential one, that already just like reduces the temperature so much. I think technical collaboration is definitely possible. There's definitely some happening already.
Yeah, we see that already.
A lot, the nerds generally they're happy to kind of ignore the politics and just like work on really fun and cool stuff and interpolate the polynomials together, which I think is great. I think more and more very possible over time.
That's great. All right, so for the next section, I'm going to call that underrated or overrated. I'm going to give you a topic. You comment on is if this is underrated or overrated, and then a short answer on why.
Sure.
So first one, 85% hot green tea, 15% red wine.
Underrated. Like only a few people have heard of it so far. We need to like spread this. We need to like make it the new thing, the current thing.
We'll try to serve that at midnight.
Okay.
One coin, one vote.
OneCoin is a scam. I see. Like token voting governance. I think realistically, I think still overrated. Like I've yelled a lot at it, but I feel like the yelling hasn't really yet translated into people actually seriously experimenting with alternatives.
What's a good framework for thinking about how voting or governance should work overall? It's a very broad, deep question, but specifically for the voting system.
It is. I don't think there's one framework. I think there's a few different frameworks. Like one of them is collusion resistance, right? Like how to prevent, concentrated interests from always beating out diffuse interests, right? Like because that's the big problem that always happens in the world. Plutocracy is actually not very good at that. Like what other things can be. The second is how to the first one you can think about it in two ways. Like you can think about it in kind of like mild ways where you have like the concentrated interest as like a fairly tame actor, like paradigm. Paradigm is tame, right? And the diffuse interest is like random community members. But then on the other hand, there's like the concentrated interest is like a hostile attacker that's there was that $80 million DeFi hack, right? Like someone tried to roll their own stable coin.
Technically not a hack.
Yeah, right. Technically, it was what was it? It was a
working as intended.
It was a special cryptographic operation. But
testing in prod.
Yeah. So basically, what happened there was like there was this. Someone tried to roll their own stablecoin, and it had a governance token, and the governance token, had something like an $80 million market cap, and this is like lower than the value of the assets it was protecting.
That was the treasury, I believe.
Right. Well, it was the governance tokens was lower than the value of the treasury.
You're right.
And so someone did a flash loan, and they just like borrowed 51% of the governance tokens, right?
And they voted to transfer the money to them as a governance vote, and then they flash loaned it themselves, and it got approved.
Yeah, right. So, you want to be resistant to attacks, right? That's also...
Is delay the best way of thinking about that, or
delay is like
figure
a
out civil
right?
resistance in a different
ultimately
way?
Figure out civil resistance. Like I think the delay thing can kind of it can help in the short term. It's a band-aid. Like if you're like in my article, I think it was like moving beyond coin voting governance or something like that. Like I talk about some like longer-term financial attacks that can still work no matter what the delays are. I think it's still concerning. So there's. So that's one framework, right, of like thinking about collusion and attack resistance. Another framework is how to ensure that the decisions are high quality, right? Like basically, how do you ensure that the people with the governance power actually are people with expertise who actually deserve to have the governance power? And like delegation is one of the answers, but delegation might not be the only answer because you know there's
It's still subject to.
yeah, I mean, there's like people who don't know and who know that they don't know, but then there's people who don't know that they don't know, right? You know, if they're gonna just like delegate to like Peep the Frog number 12437, then like that's also not the best.
I think we should go on to the rest of the topics because there's a lot more there. PFP NFTs.
PFP NFTs, I think a bit overrated, just because like. No, the problem is like you can clone them, and like we don't really have good infrastructure for like telling clones apart from not clones, and even like answering the philosophical question of like when is a clone even an illegitimate clone in the first place, and like when is it just like, you know, yo dog, that's part of the game.
Public goods funding.
Still one of the most important problems in the world, so you know, probably still underrated.
Actually, I have way more questions, so I won't dig into it. RLP.
I mean, it's still part of the Ethereum protocol, so it's overrated.
Play to earn.
Play-Doh art, like the philosopher.
Play to earn.
Oh, play to earn. Oh, I see.
We can do that one too.
I mean, art of like the Greek philosopher. I definitely would want to see some more NFTs.
Play-to art, yes.
Would you have Play-Doh art as your PFP?
Maybe.
Okay, yeah, play to earn. I think probably a bit overrated. Like I think the problem that I see with it is that like I haven't yet seen a credible story about like who would actually be the one that's like providing the capital that people end up earning by playing.
Is it an argument for just not having enough time passed, or you just mean it's an economically not?
It's just an economic thing. Like if you have token outflow, you have to have token inflow. Who's going to pay for the inflow?
Got it. L2 centralization.
Like centralization of layer 2 protocols?
Winner take all effects in L2s.
Oh, well, I guess that like you have to be clear about what you mean, right? Because like one of them is like, oh, you know, what if like fuel gets 95% of the market share, but fuel like becomes super decentralized, and then basically you have like this, you know, weird kind of awkward two-layer Ethereum.
That's a good distinction,
but
yes.
then the other one is like, well, what if there's like 5 different rollups, but the sequencers are all run by one guy? I mean, the good news about layer 2 is like those are, like even the worst outcomes are not as like actually necessarily that bad, right? Because you still have trustlessness. As long as the L2s are designed correctly, you still have censorship resistance. Probably the biggest risk is like governance capture. Like what if the L2 has governance and it does a governance vote and there's too much network effects for people to like actually be willing to exit if the governance like turns it into something trusted, for example?
Are you worried about that influencing layer 1 design in a way that you would not intend, or just like how does
L2's influencing layer 1 design? I mean, possible. Like I mean, I definitely do think that like application layers things
it's not necessarily always a bad
governance.
thing either.
Like it's not just an L2 problem. Like it's something that could happen in like so many different ways, right? Like there's going to be a lot of conflicts of interest between different kinds of applications on Ethereum, right? I mean, you could go like all the way dystopian and like, oh, you know, is there going to be like some major, you know, a centralized stablecoin that starts lobbying for the base layer to have KYC, which like I feel like that one is like a bit too blatant, and I think too many people would just like resist that one very quickly. But you know, there's all kinds of things like that. So I think the answer isn't so much worrying about like one specific interest as it is about making sure that the governance as a whole is like secure against like those kinds of like social attacks from all of possible constituted interests.
Last one. Private keys, underrated or overrated?
Oh, underrated. I mean, you know, the EU's like freaking trying to ban people from having their own personal wallets. Like, come on. Yeah, I think like personal wallets where like you actually control your private key, or it's a social recovery or multi-sig wallet and your family controls some of the keys. Like that kind of like cyber self-sovereignty is, I think, like a really important bedrock of having a decentralized crypto ecosystem.
Even with account abstraction?
Even with account abstraction, yes. Like I think smart contract wallets are not about giving up control. They're about like being able to actually choose who to trust, who you can recover, and like these things don't like. Even like multi-sig wallets and social recovery does not have to mean centralization. Like as I said, like you can choose 5 different friends who don't know each other and have them be your recovery guardians. Like I actually recommend this, right? So there's a lot that you can do with that. But like anything like that is far better than an ecosystem where like almost all users like just interact with the blockchain through a centralized provider where they don't actually control their own access.
Yeah, I think permissionless needs to be truly permissionless. How were the last 2 years for you with COVID and everything?
Oh, it's been. I mean, it's definitely like the kind of mandatory break of my usual schedule was definitely kind of like interesting and fascinating. In that, like before COVID, I was basically on a plane on average once every 6 days. Like I literally have like tracking, and like that was my life between about 2014 and 2019, and that obviously had to like cut down completely. I was basically, holed up in Singapore for about most of a year in the middle of that, and I ended up walking to every district in Singapore. It's a nice small city-state, 718 or something square kilometers. That's I think like was it somewhere around like 300 freedom units, a bit less, but. Yeah, I mean, Singapore's nice. Like you can actually do like literal cross-country running there, but yeah, so it was also just a good opportunity to kind of like think about things, just like get quiet work done. But at the same time, also definitely a lot of inconveniences and like a lot of serious stuff that I would have rather not had. Like there were definitely family members that I was just not able to see for a whole year, which I think was really unfortunate, and definitely I think.
Did you pick up any new hobbies?
Did I pick up any new hobbies? I mean, I listened to a lot of podcasts. That was.
Any favorites that you want to recommend?
I mean, Hardcore History was a fun one. Lex Friedman's a lot of them are very good. There's also Lex Friedman's about history, and there's Lex Friedman with the guy who does Hardcore History.
So composability in action.
Yeah, I mean, you can like go meta on this quite a bit. But since then, it's like I think definitely it's so nice to actually be able to like also see people in person and like see all of the old friends again that I've missed for such a long time.
I think that's one of the really interesting pieces for us today too. There's hundreds of people that have participated at the ETHGlobal events for the last 2 years, which we've never met, and we're seeing so many of them come to us and say hi, and us knowing that, including some of the ETHGlobal employees and team members, we've never seen them until now, and it's awesome to see that. So I'm really glad to hear that. Today is the 22nd of April. How was your 420?
Oh, let's see. Yeah, I mean, 420 is an important day because, like, 420 is like, let me explain it. It's the smallest number which is divisible by all the integers from 1 to 7. So it's it's also the CO2 concentration in the atmosphere. So very meaningful number. But anyway, what did I do? I went to a mini internal Ethereum Foundation research workshop and listened to Mary Maurer do an excellent job explaining a single secret leader election.
Sounds awesome. We've talked enough about the past, ETH2, the merge. Let's talk about ETH3. What's coming? What are some interesting problems? And what's something exciting that we can share here?
Well, remember, there is no ETH2 and there's definitely no ETH3. There is the merge, the surge, the verge, the purge, and the splurge. Right? So, the merge we know is completing the switch to proof of stake. The surge, massive increase in scaling because of layer 2s and sharding. So, we talked about dank sharding, a lot of progress on layer 2s here. And that's something that we've really seen kind of become alive over the last year or so, right? Like, we've basically gone from, Starknet and Optimism and Arbitrum and most of these kind of being theoretical to like really being live. I mean, Some of them have been like around for much longer than a year, right? But it does really feel like the last year has been this amazing and huge tipping point. So the surge, like really getting kind of the scalability vision kind of fully complete. It is progressing, right? Like I think very recently Optimism added in support for compression, and that noticeably decreased transaction fees by I think like another like something like, was it like somewhere between 25 and 40%?
Like,
yeah, the zipping. Yeah.
Almost half.
Yeah, so that's amazing, and like there are going to be more and more of these, right? Like eventually, you know, like replace ECDSA with something else, and that can like add a lot more compression. Eventually, you know, proto-dank sharding like a lot more, and then full dank sharding a lot more. So I think you know, we're going to see transaction fees on rollups continue taking steps further and further down over the next couple of years, and that'll be amazing. The Verge, this is the switch to Verkle trees. And Verkle trees are important because they enable stateless clients, which basically means you can verify the chain basically without having anything in your hard drive. Like you can just verify any random individual block you want without having like pre-existing information about what happened in the previous block. And that's really important, right? Basically because it makes it much easier to run a validator. It's like very good for like proof of stake decentralization. It also means that we don't have to worry about the size of the state for a long time. Like, you know, there's always these concerns about, oh, are we going to implement state rents? And like, do we have to do that? What happens when the state blows up to a terabyte? But like, if you have proposer-builder separation, so we can like allow block building to become a more specialized market while validators don't even have to run any state at all, they just like verify stateless blocks, then even the state being a terabyte in size is like actually manageable, right? So Verge is going to do a lot of good things. Then there is the Purge, and the Purge is like basically like eliminating cruft. So we talked about EIP 4444, nodes not having to store history anymore. There's like the very long-term vision of eventually doing state expiry. So eventually we can also like allow even builders to not store old state. Then there is just allowing and making it a norm for Ethereum clients to not have to process and like be able to understand every single previous version of the protocol is also part of the Purge. Simplifying the Ethereum protocol, so banning self-destruct, maybe like getting rid of and replacing the 2300 gas stipend, like maybe getting rid of and replacing logs because like, do we really need in-protocol Bloom filters when like basically no one uses that infrastructure and everyone is using the graph anyway, right? Like at
archive nodes will
exactly. Like at some point, you know, I think you do have to sort of ask that question. What other things are there? There's I mean, just like a lot of simplifications in the Ethereum protocol that I think can be made and that I think should be made. And like the Purge is all of that. And then the Splurge is like basically all of the other cool stuff, right? So account abstraction is really big, important. Proposer-builder separation is really important. And there's this good, like adding VDFs to increase the security of you know, validator set is also really important. So a lot of really nice things. And also there is, I guess you could put this in the merge bucket because it's also proof of stake, but this longer term idea of moving to single slot finality. So instead of blocks finalizing after 2.5 epochs, blocks finalize like immediately in the next slot. And this has like a bunch of important benefits. There's a bunch of technical reasons why actually it might be easier than we thought. And like, you know, over the last like year or so, you know, we've discovered that there are a lot of like just inherent complexities that are difficult to work around.
How do you think about reorgs in that world? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so the point is that reorgs do not exist unless you're in the special case where like a large portion of nodes are offline and so you're not finalizing. If most of the nodes are online, then you're finalizing, so you can't have reorgs. That's like the big benefit. Right, so like basically the thing that we realized over the last year is that there actually are a lot of like unavoidable complexities and like room for bugs in the way that we combine fork choice rules and finality today. And so moving to single slot just like reduces the number of protocols from 2 to 1, and it just makes things so much simpler potentially.
That'd be huge. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, are we?
No, I'm done from there.
Okay. Final question. We've been part of Ethereum for the last 7 years. The Bitcoin and just the cryptocurrency ecosystem is around for a little over a decade. How kind of how has that evolved from your perspective, the space, whether we're talking about the research or the community or just overall the blockchain space? Give us like what the last 5 to 10 years have been, and kind of how do you see this moving forward for the next 5 to 10 years?
I think the crypto space today is just like so different from what it was like 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. Like there's aspects of the old space that I really miss. Like I definitely miss like how it was this kind of like very small and niche thing that like most people didn't really know about, and even people who did know about it kind of thought that it was a sideshow.
This is an anecdote. Our last event was ETHLondon 2 years ago, 2 years and like a month ago. And we were struggling to make that a full house, and that capacity was 300 people. So
exactly, yeah, and you know, yeah, there were definitely these kind of like very mysterious and undiscovered aspects of it, like you know, even like visiting China and like discovering this kind of like dark forest of like various 16-year-olds who have actually been mining Bitcoin for 4 years, ended up already being multimillionaires and quitting high school. It's just like a lot of libertarians and socialists peacefully arguing with each other on Bitcoin talk and like having like actually fascinating highbrow conversations. Sometime around this time, I think, is like the 10th anniversary of like either the Pirate at 40 hack or Bitcoinica, or maybe both, like I forget. Who here remembers Pirate at 40? Wow. Who here remembers Bitcoinica? You know, Zotong, who was,
give us a little bit of background.
I think it was like the first like Bitcoin leverage trading platform. It ended up just getting hacked over and over again, and eventually it just didn't have any money, and lots of people got angry. And Pirate at 40 was an anonymous guy running basically like a fund, which was like a way of investing in like some Bitcoin related stuff and getting like some, like I think it was like 7% weekly profits. You know, the guy basically said like, hey, you know, trust me, and a bunch of people did trust him. You know what Mark Zuckerberg said 20 years ago about people who trust him. This guy was anonymous, so it was he basically just like ended up just like, oh no, he actually did get caught and he did go to jail eventually. You know, just like such crazy stuff happened back then. I mean, I guess you know these days we have like different versions of that. Like we don't have that like that sort of stuff.
Severity has been slightly minimized.
Well, I mean, it's like the sizes, like the dollar amounts of crazy stuff that happens are, I think, about the same, but like as they have been all along. But like as a percentage of the ecosystem, it's definitely much smaller, and I definitely think that's good, right? So it's definitely good that the ecosystem has matured, you know, it's definitely grown a lot. People understand a lot, like what actually can be done, what can't be done, you know, how, like what kinds of things make sense in terms of scalability, in terms of privacy, in terms of all of these issues. So I think, you know, over the next 5 to 10 years, like we're going to see, you know, the continuation of that process, and we're going to see, like, you know, like a lot of crypto applications continue to turn into something that's like really mainstream. You know, I think there are going to be some costs to that. Like I think, like the aspect of, you know, the crypto space being this frontier, I don't think that's going to go away. Like I think the crypto is just like so hard to control that there's always going to be a frontier within crypto, but like it's not going to be the case that like all of crypto is a frontier anymore, right? But at the same time, you know, it's hopefully going to be something that like just lots of people use as a regular part of their lives.
And it's a good future. Before we end, any predictions for what the next few years look like?
The Ethereum price will be 12,000, but I won't tell you in what currency. Could be bolivars, Venezuelan. And it could be, or it could be Doge.
You won't tell us what currency or what base.
Exactly, yes. And I will tell you if that's 1,000 in base 10 or base 3. What are the predictions? I mean, basically, I think, you know, scaling and zero knowledge and smart contract wallets and all that stuff are going to be mature, and you know, the ecosystem will then have to like basically either succeed on its ability to actually deliver on the applications that people have been expecting for so long, or it'll not do that, or something in the middle. I mean, I do think that like blockchains have already proven that they are here to stay and that they do have some value, but there is still this question of like, well, in what places, exactly how much? Are we talking like the new Windows of finance, or are we talking the Linux of finance? And not just for finance, like, well, how does that end up like playing out in every other industry? So no, I mean, it's still a lot of things that remain open and undecided. But I think all of the lovely hackers at the hackathon here can do a lot to try to kind of help make the more positive outcomes happen.
It's a perfect note to end this on. Thank you so much, and please give him a big round of applause. All right, well, hope you all enjoyed that. So, a couple of things to go. We're going to cover the logistics for how the weekend's going to work, especially for all of you that are hacking. I'm going to talk about all the things that we have planned, and let's go right into it. So there's a few things. So the first one is we're going to talk about how you can get help, which is how Discord is set up, all the prizes you're going to win. As a quick note for all the partners that are coming on stage to talk about their prizes, please go onto my left and your right now. We're going to get that set up. We're going to also talk about how judging is going to work, and also if you're still looking for a team, the team formation is going to happen right behind me on my left, your right after we finish the ceremonies. So everything in terms of official communication will be on Discord. That means if something is due as a deadline, or we have an announcement, or something is not on schedule, we'll be communicating that with everybody on Discord. If you're not already on Discord, you can head over to ETHGlobal.chat and it'll redirect you to the event Discord. On top of that, everything is a channel under the ETHAmsterdam category. So if you are on Discord, you're going to see the word ETHAmsterdam on the left sidebar. Find one of us in the venue, and we will make sure you have the right permissions. And this is where you can talk to any of our partners, any of our mentors, hear all the announcements, and especially as we get to judging on Sunday, any updates around there will be communicated on Discord. On top of that, you're all here in person. Just talk to each other in person. Walk up to us. If you can't get an answer, if you know somebody looks like, go up to them. Definitely engage in a meaningful and in a comfortable way. And also, if you need help with something that you're stuck on, whether it's a bug, you can absolutely stand up and shout, asking, does anybody know how to fix this? All these things are very much possible. And on top of that, there are a lot of workshops and talks happening. So the first set of workshop blocks starts at 9 p.m., and they're all on the second floor over there. So to my right and your left. You should have also gotten a calendar invite for a lot of these talks. And if you ever want to know what's going on, the latest schedule is always on the website. So how does the hackathon work? Hackathon officially begins now, which means you can start working on your projects. And a lot of you have already gotten this started, but you can have your team set up and you can work with up to 5 members per team. You don't necessarily have to work on a team. It's totally okay if you are planning on working on your own and using that as an opportunity to learn. So please make sure that your team members are listed on your dashboard, because if they are not listed there, we will have no other records of those people on your submission, and if you win a prize, that will not be distributed to the people that are not listed on that on your dashboard. You have 36 hours to hack, which means the deadline is 9 a.m. on Sunday. That's when the submission forms will close, and we'll begin judging shortly after, and I'll walk through how all of that is set up. Simple rules and criteria for the hackathon. Everything that you're going to do and submit should be done over the course of this weekend, which means you cannot continue working on a project that you've been working on before. It is okay to use boilerplate codes. If you purchase some templates to make the design easier, that is okay. If you want to fork an existing project, that is okay. If you want to fork your own project that you're working on the side from a week ago, that is not okay. But make sure you are working on something that you are starting today. There are definitely some nuances there, so if you think you're one of the edge cases, come find any of us in person. We'll assess that and talk to you about it. But please make sure that if you win any prizes, we will verify everybody's code base before delivering them to you. So we'll make any attempts to cheat. Simple stuff again, which is if you are not listed on the team, which means you were not RSV'd and confirmed as a hacker, you will not be eligible to win any prizes. And of course, just one more time, any questions, send us an email, ask us on Discord, find me or anybody else on our team in person, and ask the questions right away. Lots of incredible workshops and talks, 40 of them are happening
in a short burst of time. There'll be about 30 of them happening in the next 5 hours up on the second floor, and a few more tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon. The whole schedule is on the website, and everything in terms of details is listed on your info center, which is on your dashboard, as well as on your calendar invites. Also, we don't want you all to be fully up and watching everything all the time, so everything is also recorded. If you miss something, especially for people who are on the live stream that want to catch up on some of the content, you can catch up on that on YouTube directly by heading over to youtube.com/ETHGlobal. And to see the schedule and the prizes and everything else, you can head over to amsterdam.ethglobal.com, or just go to ethglobal.com and click on ETH Amsterdam. On to the submissions. Submissions are due at 9 a.m., which means that at 9 a.m., the page that lets you submit your project will automatically close. So please do not miss that deadline. Of course, if something goes wrong on the technical standpoint, if it breaks, we'll obviously extend that deadline. But you have 37 hours from now to submit and work on a project. The way judging is going to work is going to be really important. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of projects, and we have a short amount of time to go through all the projects for submission. So there's going to be a lot of parallelization. There's going to be 8 rooms that are going to be doing the main judging. So as soon as you submit, a few minutes later, you'll be assigned a room which will appear on your dashboard. So all you have to do is press refresh however many times you would like until things start showing up. And you will know exactly what room you need to go to, and you'll see a set of judges there, and the same format works, which is you have about 4 minutes to present your project, and I'll get into that in a second, but judging begins 30 minutes after the submission deadline, so everybody will go there. While that is happening, the prize judging is also going to happen at the same window, so depending on what room you're assigned, you will also be given an order, which means if you're one of the later ones in that room, you have the first hour or 2 free. You can then come down and talk to the sponsor you wanted to present your prize to and demo it to them individually. So if you applied for 5 different prizes, you're going to have to go to 5 of those companies and tell them what you did, so make sure you time it yourself. And then you can go up and go to the main judging. We'll share a lot more on that today and tomorrow in email and everywhere else, so don't worry if you missed any of this. And the way project submissions work is you will have 4 minutes to demo. There is an option to record a video demo, especially as when you're doing a live demo, things can go wrong or things may take too much time for your transactions to confirm if you're doing something on mainnet. So we just recommend you record a 4-minute video as well, which you can play if something goes wrong. Please don't do this thing last minute. There's a couple of big questions around tell us how you did it, how things work, which require slightly longer answers. Either prep them ahead of time or make sure that you are kind of parallelizing that work on your team, so somebody can fill out the screenshot, somebody can fill out the video, somebody can fill out the long description, somebody can pick all the prizes. Just make sure all those things are accounted for, because it will take you more than 10 minutes to make everything right for the submission. And all the details must be on your dashboard, which means that if you are applying for a prize and you forget to select that, nobody will know that you apply for this prize, so there's no way we can communicate that to all of our partners to have them say expect these companies or projects, or know that you are choosing to submit and demo your project. So I said a couple of these things already, but when you are done with your main judging, you can come down and find the sponsor you're trying to present to and demo your projects to them as well. So this can be before or after or at any time. Code of conduct, very simple. We have a code of conduct that defines how you should behave in this building, especially over this weekend. All the rules are defined on ethglobal.com/rules. It talks about how you should treat everybody here. The answer is please be respectful for everybody else, and harassment will not be tolerated in any form. If you think somebody is behaving the way they shouldn't, please let us know, and we'll be able to act immediately. In terms of intellectual property, anything that you build is solely owned by you, and it's up to you to do whatever you'd like with it. And of course, if there's anything else that comes up, if you have any questions, if you have any edge cases, some of you have to check in early or late, or you have to leave because you have a flight on Sunday, let us know. We can figure out how to accommodate everybody, but just want to make sure that everybody is comfortable over this weekend. On to some of the amazing prizes. So we're going to bring on some of our partners here, and they're going to come here and talk about who they are, why they're excited to be here, and what prizes they're giving. So let's welcome our very first partner today, Gearbox. And there's Mikhail. And this is a special moment for us because Mikhail was one of the winners of Market Make a year ago as a project that came out of ETHGlobal, and they're giving back to the community, and I'm super excited to have him here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, and hello, Amsterdam. I'm pretty boring, guys, because as Kartik said, basically, it was only 1 year ago when Gearbox became a Market Make finalist, and now Gearbox became a sponsor. So boring for me personally. And now I really want to say thank you for ETHGlobal family and Kartik personally for support. And this support covered Gearbox for all our story during the hackathon, after hackathon, and even now we feel a lot of support. And it's great, so thank you ETHGlobal family. Thank you, Kartik, for that. Let's applaud them. So at this point, it's my personal thoughts. You shouldn't consider this hackathon like 3 days event. It could be a really great life-changing event in your life. And I really definitely believe that this supportive culture in crypto is very, very significant for all persons here. In Gearbox, we are building a generic and composable leverage. So it's based on credit account, which is new DeFi primitive. It looks like smart contract wallet, which allows you to take more money and manage them as your own. And Gearbox itself, maybe it's not an end product. We really use other protocols and empower them. So you can combine Gearbox with Uniswap to get margin trading. You can combine Gearbox with Earn to get leverage farming. And you can buy Gearbox with Lido and many other protocols for leverage staking and so on and so on and so on. So my insight today may be the best strategy ever, not to try to think how to build next Uniswap killer or how to build a new competitor to 1inch. It's much better to think how through composability we can create totally new way to really link existing protocols, existing ideas to create great experience for users and which help us to attract next billion in crypto industry. Thank you, and build on Gearbox.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, Kelvin from Optimism.
Hello. Hi, my name is Kelvin. I work on a project called Optimism, where we are trying to scale Ethereum's tech, scale its values, and hopefully provide the funding for its future. We're working on 2 key projects. I guess we got Optimism, the optimistic roll-up, and we're also working on a novel funding mechanism called retroactive public goods funding, where we're trying to fundamentally change how people can get funded within this ecosystem to do all of the work that we desperately need done. We've got some exciting hacks here if people want, or some exciting prizes for hacks here. We've got, of course, $2,500, a couple $2,500 bounties for the best Optimism ecosystem hack, so if you just build on Optimism. We've also got $2,500 for the best optimistically Ethereum hacks, so just hacks that contribute back to the Ethereum ecosystem at large. So maybe you want to work a little bit on EIP 4844 or something like that. And then, of course, there's some money thrown in there for people who just want to try deploying on Optimism. I highly recommend checking out optimism.io/Amsterdam, where you can learn all about Optimism and the prizes that we're doing. So if you want to come hang with us, we're near the front. Thank you. And public goods are good, fun public goods, or we won't last.
Thanks, Kelvin. Next up, we have Sergey from 1inch. Welcome, Sergey.
So hi, everyone. My name is Sergey. I'm co-founder of 1inch Network. We actually started also in a hackathon back in 2019 on this nice very, very nice organized hackathon at ETHGlobal. From our point of view, best in the world. We participated more than 17 hackathons around the globe. with the team name Cryptomaniacs. So and we are staying here as One Inch Network. We invented aggregation among decentralized exchanges back in 2019, and we have some bounties for you guys. So we have like first, second, third place. You can earn up to $8,000 by just innovating, building something new for DeFi or on top of One Inch Network. We have multiple protocols. We have limit order protocol, MM. We have the aggregation protocol, user API. It's very well described in the documents on oneinch.io. So thank you very much, and yeah, have a nice hack build.
Next up, we have Stani. We have Stani from Aave and Lens protocol. Welcome, Stani.
Hello. So my name is Stani. I'm the founder and CEO of Aave, and we're a team that created the Aave protocol. Essentially, you can deposit cryptographic assets and earn interest rates, and then take flash loans and hack other protocols. Just kidding. Don't hack any protocols. Also, we created Lens protocol, which is a decentralized social graph. Essentially, you can create a on-chain profile, and then you can have a following graph on-chain as well, and also you can publish content directly to your followers. So we have two kind of bounties. So we have one track for the Aave bounties, and essentially we're looking for most innovative products or POCs or whatever you want to call them, built on top of the Aave protocol. And I think we've been doing hackathons and participating since for 3-4 years now. And we've seen pretty much a lot of interesting innovation, and it's very surprising how much creativity there is in this room. So essentially, what is innovation? It's pretty much you to decide and craft. But essentially, the first prize will be $7,500 worth. Second is $4,500. Third is $3,000, and fourth is $1,000. And anyone who is hacking anything on top of the Aave protocol is already a kind of like a winner in our sense. And we will definitely love to see some kind of like a creativity between the Aave protocol and maybe also with the Lens protocol, kind of like a money Legos and social Legos combination. And these prizes are sponsored by the Aave Grants DAO, which is a sub-DAO, or actually spin-off DAO from the Aave DAO. So we also have bounties for the Lens protocol, and essentially we want to see very interesting ways to interact with the content. That can be some new way to stream and using live peer at the same time together with the Lens protocol, and create something amazing, something new that we haven't seen before, or something old that just works better and is more decentralized. So essentially, 6,000 for the first one and 2,000 for the second one. And of course, if you hack something on Lens protocol, you will get also some of our swag, which are the Lens socks, and they're very, very cool. So, and there's just limited amounts, so first come, first will be served. And also tooling. So if you see some interesting stuff being built on the tooling side, that's also very appreciated. But really, really, really would love to see some very, very cool front ends being built, or can be even games with following logic and so forth. And of course, we have some alpha to leak here. So we have on Sunday the Rave party. Woo! And here's the code. So there's only 25 tickets with this code. So type in "Let's Hack" and you maybe get the code if you're fast enough. So I will leave this for you for grabs. Thank you so much.
We'll give you all 5 seconds to snag those tickets. And with that, we are ready for our next sponsor. Please welcome Paige from LivePeer.
Hi, everybody. My name is Paige. I'm from LivePeer. And for those of you who don't know what LivePeer is a decentralized network providing transcoding capacity. And transcoding capacity is the essential process to deliver live streaming video across the internet. In addition to providing this transcoding capacity, we also provide a really easy to use API so that you as a developer or a hacker can easily include video in your applications, both live streaming video or very recently video on demand. So already recorded video, like to create a YouTube-like application. And we also have a new video NFT minting SDK, so you can stream video and mint NFTs from that streamed video. And we have a few prizes. So LivePeer is sort of a great tool if you're thinking about using video in any capacity in your hack. It's specifically for like creator applications, social media, or gaming, and so that's our top prize. So $6,000 for a killer video-centric social media creator or gaming application. We also, our second prize at $4,000 is the best use of the NFT video minting SDK. What creative apps can you make that use mint NFTs, video NFTs? And our SDK is available in our Hacker Quick Start Guide, which is linked in our sponsor channel. And then the best video on demand application like YouTube. There's so many interesting things that we can do in Web3 to create the next like YouTube competitor or Web3 YouTube. Using our VOD MVP, what can you build? So that prize is at $4,000. And then the best application of LivePeer in the metaverse. We've seen cool applications of streaming into the metaverse or out of the metaverse or videos in the metaverse. This is a fun one. So what can you use LivePeer in the metaverse for? And with that, thank you so much. We're here to help you. We have a booth. We're here to help you IRL. Come talk to us. We'd love to talk to you about your projects, help you hack, or hit us up in the Discord. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Pedro from WalletConnect. Please welcome Pedro on stage.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming for my workshop earlier, and I hope you guys learn how to use WalletConnect. If you don't, we're over there in the corner, so you guys can learn more about us. Obviously, WalletConnect connects wallets, and if you do integrate into your dApp, you are eligible for our bounty. We created 2 tracks because we want to see more social projects. We love the DeFi projects, but we want to make sure the social projects get the chance to also have their own bounties. So we have 4,000 for the first one, 2,000 for the second one, and 1,000 for the third one on separate tracks. We want to see a lot of DeFi cross-chain projects, and we also want to see the social and identity projects. And we also have a pool prize for honorable mentions at 2,000. They're going to be split for other projects that we find that are great. And as well at Connect, we always like to see projects that are very interoperable and use standards. So make sure to really make us happy. So I look forward to see your projects, and I'll judge them on Sunday. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Scale.
Awesome. All right. Hello, everybody. Christine from Scale Labs here. Excited to be here at ETHAmsterdam with all of you. And I want to talk about the prizes first, because we're really excited for Hackers to Hack on Scale. We have $16,000 worth of prizes and Scale bounties. The 5K will go to the best use case on the Scale network, and then the middle 2 are going to split the prizes. So if you build in one of these categories, you will split between 5K or 2K each. And again, there's a 4K prize pool divided among all teams that simply just hack on Scale. Now, what is the Scale network? We're a layer that sits on top of Ethereum that helps remove gas costs, but also speeds up transactions. What's great is that it works really well within the Ethereum ecosystem. So all of the tools that you love on Ethereum will work seamlessly on Scale as well. So there are nodes around the world that operate in a proof-of-stake manner. And when you decide that you want a Scale chain, we group together a subset of those, and that subset creates your scale chain. But it doesn't do just processing transactions. You can also use file storage, which allows you to save files directly to the blockchain, or an interchain messaging agent, which allows you to transfer assets back and forth between Ethereum. Now, this is one of many, so one of the first multi-chain architectures out there. And what that means right now is what's really cool is we're launching the Scaleverse, which basically means that we're creating organization within this multi-chain architecture. So applications are coming together to create exchange hubs, NFT hubs, community chains, but you can also still get your own dedicated chain that's able to talk to each other within the ecosystem. All right, now back to the prizes. If you want to hack with us, definitely scan the QR code here, which will give you all the information, or just simply enter this URL directly in your browser. All right, thanks guys, bye.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Tatum. Please welcome Samuel on stage.
Hey guys, I'm super excited to be here. I'm Sam, CTO and co-founder of Tatum. And I'm going to tell you what Tatum actually is. Tatum is a developer framework which helps you, developers, build the blockchain apps and scale them super fast and super simple. You can build any app you want on any chain we support. You don't have to understand how Node or Solidity works. You don't have to be blockchain expert. You can just leverage ready-to-use features in your app we provide. Tatum consists of more than 300 features. You can just plug them in, and you can just build. What you can do with us, you can do anything. You can do any application you want on any chain you want. You can create wallets. You can use direct RPC calls. You can mint NFTs. If you don't know how to work with Solidity and you don't know how to create smart contracts, we got you covered. We have ready-made templates for you where you just, on one line of code, you deploy your NFT or smart contract of your choice to any of the supported chains. We support more than 40 different blockchain protocols. If you want to read the data from the chain, if you want to perform thousands of transactions per second and scale beyond the blockchain limitations, our off-chain features are there for you. Right now, more than 50,000 companies and one of the biggest projects in the world are using Tatum. So if you want to test it out, it's easy. Just sign up to tatum.io, get a free API key and start building. We're having a workshop today, which you are all invited. I'm going to very quickly show you how to start in 15 minutes. We have some nice pool prizes for some of the best projects, NFTs, some virtual accounts. Whatever you want to build, we are here to help you. So sign up and build. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Evan from Mina. Please welcome Evan on stage.
Hey everyone, I'm Evan. I'm one of the co-founders of Mina Protocol. So Mina is this protocol where we put zero-knowledge proofs kind of in the heart of it, which both means that it's very easy to verify and good to program zero-knowledge proofs with. So in particular, it can be very cheaply verified with these zero-knowledge proofs on your browser, on your phone, or even inside smart contracts on other cryptocurrencies. Additionally, we've also unlocked some very good zero-knowledge proof programming functionality. It's all in TypeScript, and you can not only access the scale functionality, but you can also access privacy. So you can natively program with privacy zero-knowledge proofs in TypeScript. If you're like a TypeScript developer, you can use this without being a cryptographer, so that's really awesome. And yeah, so one of the things we're going to do with this is we're working to make Mina verifiable inside of an EVM smart contract, which will let you do your privacy and scaling part of your application inside Mina, and then the rest of your application can just stay on Ethereum. So if you've wanted to use privacy, but you're like not going to build an entire sidechain or become a cryptographer, and you want to just use TypeScript and get going with it, you can use Mina for that. We had a workshop earlier today that talked about how you can program with zero-knowledge proofs and Mina. It happened earlier, so if you missed it, you can actually see it online. There's going to be a video up soon on the ETHAmsterdam page. I'm going to hand it over to Jack now from O of One Labs, another Mina protocol ecosystem company. He'll talk more about the prizes.
Hi, I'm Jack, and I do developer relations at O1 Labs. And we've spent the last, O1 Labs is the company that incubated the Mina protocol. So we spent the last year building out Snarky.js so that you can build a whole new class of decentralized applications in simple idiomatic TypeScript. We call these ZK apps, and they expose a whole host of zero-knowledge primitives that are really powerful so that you can build a whole new kind of game or roll-up or privacy-preserving application, whatever you want. We have prizes at $8,000, $5,000, and $3,000 for first, second, and third place, respectively. And as long as you build something that relates to Mina, you should be eligible. Infrastructure and integration are both fair game. If you do choose to build a zero-knowledge app, I recommend that you build something kind of simple that makes unique, makes use of the unique properties of Mina and Snarky.js in a clever way. If you need help, reach out to somebody in a hoodie like mine, or even if you just want to say hi. Most of us are core devs at Mina Foundation or O1 Labs. And if you build something really cool, or maybe if you build something at all, we'll give you a hoodie. Other than that, thank you so much and good luck.
Thank you, Mina Protocol. Next up, we have IPFS and Filecoin. Please welcome Konstantin on stage.
Hello, everyone. My name is Konstantin, and I'm having a pleasure to welcome you from IPFS and Filecoin side. What an amazing time to be here in ETHAmsterdam to meet with all of you hacking in person for the next few days. First of all, without further ado, IPFS is the protocol which makes the web peer-to-peer. It makes it resilient, accessible, and scalable for the future applications. Moreover, we have a Filecoin, which is built on top of IPFS and which serves you with the largest data storage provider on the web free and allows you to have your data being resilient and reliable all the time when you need it. Moreover, our ecosystem is the strongest asset in growing the Filecoin network and Web3 in general. On one side, we have a rapidly expanding storage capacity of the network with more than 4,000 of storage providers available to you right now and more than 18 exabytes of total storage capacity in the network right now. On the other side, we have an increasing demand from the explosively growing ecosystem with more than 300 startups working on different topics in IPFS and Filecoin, and more than 9,000 developers contributing to our protocols day to day from all over the world. We are more than just a storage, though. We are also building new solutions to enable compute on the Filecoin. We are developing a new layer of programmability via Filecoin virtual machine, and we are also joining our effort to make Filecoin provably green. And this all becomes the foundation of the Web3 being sustainable, reliable, storage, compute, and much, much more in the network. Moreover, during the hack, you can see or find us during the workshops. At 9 today, I'll be giving an introduction for IPFS and Filecoin, and book your time tomorrow at 1 p.m. when our CEO and founder, Juan Bennett, will be giving you a talk on regenerating crypto economics for good. I would wish you all to get creative and good luck, have fun. And for those of you who are doing the best of the best projects and available and building the Web3 future together with us, we are preparing the amazing prizes with a pool of 16K to award you. And the challenge to participate in our challenge, you have to fulfill the very simple criteria of building together with IPFS for content addressing and Filecoin for decentralized storage, or any solution that builds on top of either. For you, for the quick start, we have prepared many tools and guides, but you can scan the QR code, or feel free also to follow the NFT.storage, which can give you an immediate hands up within given a few minutes to freely store your NFTs on IPFS and Filecoin. You can also use Web3.storage for storing all three things, and you can use Fleek for also hosting your website directly on IPFS, making and ensuring that your website and content on the web is reliably stored for whenever you want it. I would wish you all great success and enjoy your time at the hackathon. Congratulations and good luck on the hack. Thank you a lot.
Amazing. Oh, he's tall. Next up, we have Polygon. So Polygon wasn't able to make it here because of a travel minor issue, but I'll read off their prizes really quickly. So Polygon is giving a lot of prizes. So you have $15,000 in prizes. And the first place for an open track of best use of Polygon integration will receive $5,000. The second place will receive $3,000. And the third place is going to receive $2,000. And they have two separate tracks, one for the best app incorporating Polygon Infinity design system, that will win $2,500. And the second track of best app incorporating Polygon ID in their hack, that's also going to receive $2,500. All right, with that, we are ready for our next sponsor, and that is Skill Wallet. Please welcome Alex on stage from Skill Wallet.
Hello, everyone. So this is Alex, and the co-founder of Skill Wallet. We have a self-sovereign identity protocol that binds together the individuals with the communities that they join and rewards them based on their participation. Now, as for our prizes, once the slides arrive, we have in total 8,000 USDCs as rewards. Can you please switch the slides? Switch? Yeah. So we have two main tracks. They will appear, yeah. And the main one is the ID Activist, is for building something interesting on public goods, for creativity and less coding. So you can use our protocol to build a brand new app and some new use case, for example, in profit sharing. The second one is a feature track. It's a little bit more techy, and you can play directly with our protocol to add a new feature that you don't have, or, for example, something that experiments with new models of governance, like participation-weighted voting. So we also have a pool prize that is in total 1,000 USDCs. Whatever you do with Skill Wallet, just have fun, integrate it, and you will take a share of the pool. So hack, have fun, and enjoy your weekend. We are there. Bye-bye.
Next up, we have Rafael from Toucan.
Hey, everybody. So I'm Rafael, CEO and founder of Toucan, and funnily enough, Toucan was started at ETHLondon 2 years ago, and now we're here. So big thank you to ETHGlobal. You're doing amazing work. Toucan is empowering Web3 to address climate change. So we do that by building building blocks, essentially, that tokenize carbon credits and allow other people to build on top of liquid carbon credits. To do it like in metaverse and NFT, use carbon as a collateral asset in lending, stablecoins, etc. So really, it's a bet on you people to build crazy stuff with carbon. And to lead by example, we've actually offset this event, so you can eat and drink as much as you want. And there's also $8,000 up for grabs and prizes. I don't know if they show. Perfect. So we have 5 devs here that can support you at any point in the night, in the morning. So the booth is right here if you need help for building with carbon. And like everyone in Web3, obviously, we're hiring. And if you want to build, work on something cool that has meaningful impact, then please talk to us.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Fran from Superfluid. Welcome, Fran, on stage.
Woo! Hello, everyone. Super excited to be here. Last time I was on stage at ETHGlobal was ETHLondon as a hacker. So it's amazing to be here as a sponsor instead, and hopefully I'm going to help you guys to win a prize. So Superfluid is an asset streaming protocol. You can make continuous payments without making recurring transactions, and you also don't have any gas fees. So it's all on chain, it's very programmable, you can build a ton of really cool stuff, and we have a ton of bounties. So there's $8,000 in open bounties, and on top of this, we have a $10,000 bounty with UMA protocol. You can find the details on our Twitter. That's $10,000 bounty for one specific project that's already spec'd out. So come and hack with us. We have a workshop at 9:30 in room 8. Looking forward to seeing everyone, and good luck hacking.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Tom from TribeDAO. Welcome, Tom, on stage.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tom. I'm from the TribeDAO. The TribeDAO is a DAO with a set of DeFi protocols inside it. We've got Fei, Rari, Vault, a few others. This hackathon, we've got 3 prizes available based on 3 new things that we recently launched, $2,500 each. One is for Tribe Turbo, which is a way to get a costless line of credit and put it in a yield strategy. One is for ERC 4626, which is a tokenized vault standard. And the last is for Flywheel, which is a generalized way to put incentives into markets. So yeah, have fun hacking. We did a workshop earlier, so catch up on that and ask me any questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. Next up, we have Web3 Auth.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Elisha, and I run operations at Web3 Auth. So we build simple, self-custodial auth infrastructure for both Web3 applications and wallets. And our goal is really just to replace seed phrases with an MPC-enabled multi-factor-like key and bring the next billion users into this space. So we are built on threshold cryptography, and our onboarding flows emulate something that everyday users are very familiar with, which is really just signing in to an SSO like Google, Twitter, email, username, password on a trusted device without the need for any additional installations. Our keys are self-custodial, interoperable across devices and platforms, 2FA capable, and user recoverable. Web3 Auth is simple to integrate, and it works with MetaMask. So we are sponsoring $8,000 worth of bounties for projects that integrate with Web3 Auth, and we are looking for exciting projects with exceptional UX and business case. So we've got devs on site to help you build your dApp with Web3 Auth in about 20 minutes, and we are holding a workshop later at 11 p.m. at room 2. So catch us at our booth, and let's hack something together. Good night, guys.
Amazing. Next up, we have Simon from Volts. Please welcome Simon on stage.
Hey, everyone. So we are Volts, and essentially we are an automated market maker for interest rate swaps. So what does that mean? In its simplest form, it basically means that you can trade fixed and variable rates with leverage. So again, in the simplest form, think DYDX, but for rates. If you want to learn more about the way the protocol kind of really works, then make sure you come along to Arta, my co-founder's talk at 10 o'clock tonight. Otherwise, in terms of prizes, so we have 8K of prizes in total, which breaks down as 4K for the most useful, 2.5K for the most creative, and 1.5K for another qualifying application. If you've got any questions, come over to our booth. Otherwise, good luck, and looking forward to seeing what everyone builds.
Thanks, Simon. Next up, we have George from Tempest. Please welcome George on stage.
GM, everybody. I'm George, co-founder of Tempest, and we are currently working on fixing DeFi yields. We have a pool of 8K for prizes. We will give 5K for the best. And for the second place, we'll give 3K. Everyone is welcome to build anything, backend or frontend on top of Tempest. See you around. Enjoy.
Amazing. Next up, Boris from Uniswap Grants Program. Please welcome Boris on stage.
Hey guys, Boris from the Grants Program here. So Uniswap, decentralized AMM exchange on Ethereum and both Arbitrum, Optimism, and Polygon. And yeah, for our challenges, we have best usage of any scaling solution with Uniswap. So you can build something cool either for the existing deployments, or you can think about outside the box and work with deployments that deploy somewhere where Uniswap currently is not. Anything goes here. And for our second category, we have most innovative Uniswap project. So we don't want to limit you. Build whatever you think is cool, and it will be great for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Boris. Next up, we have Shanna from Coinbase Wallet. Please welcome Shanna on stage.
Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be with y'all at ETHAmsterdam tonight. We have some awesome prizes for integrating with Coinbase Wallet. I'm sure you've all heard of Coinbase. Hopefully some of you have heard of Coinbase Wallet too. It is our self-custody wallet. It has millions of users. We have a new feature called Coinbase Pay that's really interesting. It allows for fiat on-ramp if you link your Coinbase account. We should have prizes. Okay, perfect. These are our prizes for integrating with Coinbase Wallet. So it's $5,000, this is USD, for first place, plus an introduction to our ventures team. So that's pretty exciting. $2,000 for second and $1,500 for third place. My colleague JM gave a workshop earlier on what Coinbase Wallet is and how to integrate with it. So check that out on demand, and then find us at our booth. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Nader from The Graph. Please welcome Nader on stage.
All right. I'm Nader Dabbit. I'm here with the Graph Protocol. We're really excited to be here. We have a booth set up over there. If you're willing to come by and ask us some questions or pick up some swag, we'd love for you to do that. The Graph is an indexing and querying protocol for decentralized blockchain networks like Ethereum, Arbitrum, Optimism, and a few dozen EVM-compatible chains, as well as Near Protocol and IPFS. So with the Graph Protocol, you can define the smart contract or smart contracts that you'd like to build an API with, and we will allow you to deploy open APIs called subgraphs to our network, giving you a really, really nice querying API for doing things like full text search, relationships between your data, querying for filtering, sorting, all types of stuff. So if you want to learn more about the Graph, go to thegraph.com. We have documentation there to kind of get you up and running. We have $8,000 in prizes here. You can either build out a brand new subgraph and win either first, second, or third prize, or I would say grand prize first and then second, or you can actually use an existing subgraph that someone else has created that you can then find that's publicly available to use. So with that being said, I hope everyone has a great time working with the Graph, and if you have any questions, again, come by. We'll be at the booth all day tomorrow as well as part of Sunday, and we're giving a workshop later tonight, so check it out. Simone is giving that. Thank you.
Thanks, Nader. Next up, we have Jorge from Gnosis Safe.
Hey everyone, Jorge here from Gnosis Safe. For those who aren't familiar, Gnosis Safe is a safety standard of Web3 and the most trusted platform for individuals and communities to manage their digital assets. So with Gnosis Safe programmable accounts, users essentially have much more control and granular permissions over controlling their assets. Currently, there are over $70 billion in USD stored on over 50,000 safes. So we'd love for you to join us in building out some future ideas that are relevant to what Vitalik was talking about around self-sovereignty. So the first one being essentially a recovery module. So we're looking for novel ways for people to recover their assets in the worst case. So 4,000 in bounties up for that one. And then novel ways to sign in with Gnosis Safe is our second bounty, another 4,000 for that. And we're looking essentially for people to have just better compatibility with authenticating into applications using their safe. Last but not least, Herman is giving a workshop at 12:30 in room 8 on getting started with the Safe Core SDK. So come stop by our booth to learn more about Safe. Get started. If you have any questions, come talk to the team. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have AP Wine. Please welcome Gasper.
Hi, everyone. What if you could get your AV yield of an entire year, but today? That's one of the things that you can do with AP Wine. Through yield tokenization, we create derivatives and yield strategies in a very modular and composable way. And that's where you come into the picture. We want you to come up with good ideas and relevant integration to build on top of AP Wine. And we actually have a workshop in a few minutes in room 2, where we'll showcase our SDK and demonstrate how easy it is to build with AP Wine and leverage the Moniligo composability of the space. So feel free to come to the booth, feel free to come to the workshop in a few minutes, and we look forward to seeing very cool ideas and integration with AP Wine. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Connex. Please welcome Sanjay on stage.
Hello, everyone. This is Sanjay from Connex. Connex is a cross-chain bridge which allows you to send any piece of information from one chain to another. And it could be anything, token, vote, NFT, or whatnot. We are the only bridge in this space which is in the trust minimization and the most secure one without any trust assumption. So yeah, if you care about the security, do build on us. And this is in an event where we are launching and announcing our testnet, which will be live. And the testnet is live right now, but the product itself will be live in 6 weeks. And with this one, there are so many potential: instant transfer from one chain to another, NFT bridge, DAO-to-DAO interaction, metaverse to metaverse, vault zaps, Uni V3 traps, and whatnot. So everything is possible cross-chain now. And this time we are offering 3-tier of prices, which we are offering where we are having the couple of the starting ones from contract-to-contract interactions on sending and receiving side. So do check those out. If you have any problem, we are happy to help you anytime. And the price list and details are available on Discord as well as the ETHAmsterdam site. So yeah, peace out. Ciao. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And our last sponsor for today, please welcome Chandler from UMA.
Clearly they saved the best for last. I'm Chandler from UMA. And today we're just going to quickly run through a little bit about what UMA does. If you're a developer that needs to use an oracle for any form of data that's not typically a price feed, we're the kinds of team that you're going to need to use for your hackathon. For our prizes, we're going to give $6,000 away for the first prize, and second place runner-up for the honorable mention, $2,000. If you want to know how to go from zero to integrating with the optimistic oracle, I have a workshop at 10 o'clock today. I highly recommend that for anyone that's wanting to get integrated with the optimistic oracle. And then Superfluid mentioned it, yes, a little earlier. We have a product that we're going to co-collaborate on. This is actually an honorable mention where we're throwing $10,000 joint between the two of us on this spec product. You can find both of those on our Twitters, either one of ours, Superfluid, or at UMA Protocol. Looking forward to it.
All right, couple more things to go before we close. There's a lot more prizes here, so 130 unique ones. We have Evma, ZK Sync, Union, Gelato, Block Team, and Zerion, Spruce, Ambir, Flux, Findora, Boba, Dune, Yearn, EPNS, QuickNote, and Radical. All of them are giving a lot of more amazing prizes, and you can check out all of this and the full details about how you can qualify by heading over to amsterdam.ethglobal.com/prizes. All right, to close. Please pace yourself. We really don't want this thing to be exhausting for you. We really want you to all have fun. And this event is very much about experimentation and learning. So even if you don't finish what you wanted to do, we still encourage all of you to present and get some feedback on what you wanted to work on. And with that, let's get hacking. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll all see you here at the venue. If you're still looking for a team, please come on this side. And we'll also convert this middle auditorium piece to a hacking spot. So let's get going. Thanks, everybody.
you.